So I'm not crazy, right? I'm not a bitch.
Yeah.
There's an actual physiological brain change that's happening.
Yeah.
So yes, and because I'm very loud and I'm really like my family didn't really have that much of a choice until like listen and believe me, right? So that was the family I lived with. But friends at the time though, I remember this one friend I had, she'd be like, well, Samantha, you can't blame everything on menopause. And I was like, yeah, you can. Yes. Because physiologically you are different now. And I always use that analogy of like menopause is like the puppeteer and we're the puppets, right?
Yeah.
So and your hormones control everything. So when your hormones are good, we're good. But when they're off, we
Yeah.
are like all over the place. So how can you tell me it's not menopause if
Yeah.
your physiology has literally changed?
Hello and welcome to Menopause Whilst Black, the podcast. We are committed to diversifying and sharing the stories of Black people in any stage of menopause, often, but not always, based in the UK. And I say not always because that applies to our guest today. My name is Karen Arthur. I am a grandma, a mummy. I'm an author, an artist, and a broadcaster, obviously, and lots of things in between. Um, yeah, as I said, we've got a new guest for you today. I just want to also say thank you for being here. If you're new to Menopause Whilst Black, there are, I believe, 78 more episodes behind us. In front of us? No, behind us. That you can delve into. Seasons 1 to 4 are on all good pod platforms, and season 5 onwards are also on YouTube. So big up our new YouTube survivors. Thank you for being here. It remains for me to say, get ready, get excited, and I will see you on the other side. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to Menopause Whilst Black, Season 8. I don't know why I said that like that. I'm on a bit of a high because my guest has been winding me up. So why don't I just read her bio and then we'll take it from there. So are you ready? I hope you're ready. Samantha Montpetit-Huynh is the founder of Sam Core Trainer, where she coaches women 40 and above with the most comprehensive online health management program for women during menopause and midlife. Samantha is a serial entrepreneur, media expert, speaker, teacher, mentor, course creator, author, and international retreat host. Come on. Samantha has been featured on multiple media outlets from TV, magazines, and online, sharing her expertise in fitness and health. Samantha has been recognized an expert in her field for over 2 decades and was awarded the Abundance 2019 Personal Trainer of the Year and CanfitPro's 2021 Speciality Presenter of the Year. Come on, Samantha.
Yay, me! That sounds really good. That sounds
That's
impressive.
good. Yeah, you've been doing things. Welcome, my love.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Really, I appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure. I've been looking forward to this one. I mean, I'm not going to say anything, but you might be able to tell people why we're a bit giddy. But either way, why don't you tell us about yourself? Who are you outside of your title?
Who am I outside of my title? Wow. Oh, okay, well, I am a 54-year-old woman. So I used to say postmenopause, but I recently learned from Dr. Malone that we don't say postmenopause. We say we're just in menopause.
We do? Okay, I
Right.
didn't know that. I thought I was postmenopausal, but now I'm just menopausal.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said there's no post. She goes, because it's like if you say post, then you think that everything's done, right? She goes, but if you're on HRT, you're probably on HRT for maybe the rest of your life. Like things are different for the rest of your life, right? They don't go back.
But post is after, so
I know, but a lot of people think after means it's the end and that
oh,
you're no
okay.
longer having symptoms and you're no longer, I don't know.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
I don't know, post menopause, menopause. But I'm 54. I'm there, and I am also a personal trainer. So you already talked about that. But I'm also the mom of two beautiful women. Rain, who's going to be 20 at the end of the month, and
Oh,
Rio, who's 23. And yeah, and I just I am, I'm kind of a self-professed go-getter.
okay.
I and it's really interesting that, when you read my bio and I'm like, wow, that sounds really cool. Did I do all that stuff?
Yes, you did.
Um, yeah, because when I was younger, when I was little, I had a massive, debilitating, almost paralyzing fear of public speaking.
Oh my goodness.
I know, and I've got such a big mouth, so you wouldn't even know it. But in high school, I would take Fs if I
Mm,
had to stand in front of the class to do a presentation.
mm,
I actually quit school when I was 17 because I hated school so much, and then I decided to
mm.
move out on my own. So I really am like self-made,
Yeah.
and I've gone through a lot, which I'm sure like
Mm,
everybody gone through a lot, but
mm.
I've come far, and so
Yeah.
I've got a saying that as soon as I feel nauseous about an opportunity,
Mm.
that's a good sign that means I need to go for it,
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
right?
I completely agree with that. It's your comfort zone getting a bit wobbly, and it's time to kind of push through. Okay, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll get more into some of that as well. So, Sam, what's your heritage and where are your parents from?
My mother is white. She's from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada,
Okay,
and my dad is black, and he's from Philadelphia.
okay.
As much as I mean, again, being raised by a single white female because my
Mm,
parents were not together, and she had me when she was 17. Um, I grew up in a very white Jewish neighborhood. I didn't understand my blackness at all,
mm.
and everybody would look at me and go, "Oh, were you from Jamaica?" Because back then, white people just thought all black people came from Jamaica. And I would
Yeah.
be like, why do they keep thinking that? And now I'm like, I wish I had some Caribbean in me because then I wouldn't be living here for years.
Where is your mum from?
My mom is
Sorry, not
from,
your mum. Sorry, your dad. Your dad. Sorry.
yeah, my dad is from Philadelphia. He's
Right.
from
So
the same
what's his heritage?
heritage. They're all like American from like far, far,
Oh, right. Okay.
far. Like
Right.
there's nothing. I wish. However, I like saying, a lot of my friends are Caribbean, so I feel like I'm Caribbean by association. I made up
So,
by all the friends I hang out with.
okay. So you're based in Canada,
Yep, in Toronto, Ontario is where I
and
live.
you already said you're 54. So who taught you, the big question, who taught you about menopause, Sam?
Who taught me about menopause? Well, um, it was like a little bit before COVID
Okay.
when I started noticing little changes, and really what it was for me was weight gain because I'm a personal trainer. So if there's any one thing that for me, and I would say most personal trainers, I wouldn't say all, if there's one thing we're in control of, it's the way our body looks, right?
Okay.
Everything else could kind of fall by the weight side, and my body started changing. I'm like, what the hell's happening?
Yeah.
And then of course, because Meta is listening to us on our phones all the time, um, I started getting these like posts about menopause and stuff like that. I was like, menopause? Like, could it be? I don't know. Because, like a lot of people as well, my mother never uttered the word menopause.
Yeah.
Not nothing, nothing. Now, looking back, I'm like,
Yeah.
woman, you've been in perimenopause since your mid 30s because she's always hot, she's
Mm,
sweating, she's grumpy, she hurts, she doesn't sleep. Like, she's your typical, all of
yeah.
those like typical symptoms, right? So, yeah, something came up on my phone and I started doing a little bit of research. And the very first person, oh my God, now I'm going to lose it. That's welcome to menopause because I can see his face, but I can't. his name. Oh my God. Anyways, I'll think about it after during this conversation. I'll
All
interrupt you
good.
with his name. But he's a man,
Mm.
bald with the goatee. He's actually kind of cute. And he used to be a power lifter and personal trainer. Now he's a naturopath. And he did a short kind of course, mini course on menopause. And I was like, light bulbs were, and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And so then I decided to do a deeper dive. And then I took a course with a company here in Canada called MedFit
Okay.
online. And I was like blown away.
Yeah.
And I remember that thinking, like, I know a lot about health and fitness, and I knew nothing, nothing. It was literally like I felt like I was in kindergarten starting school. And
Mm.
so I figured if I don't know anything and I'm supposed to know things,
Yeah.
the layman has no idea.
Yeah.
And it was literally at that moment, I would say, the beginning of COVID, where
Yeah.
I completely pivoted my business. And
Okay.
now it's starting to make sense why my clients were struggling to lose weight, why they weren't sleeping. And I was just like, and of course, because it hadn't hit me yet.
Yeah.
So, and I'm being fully transparent. I used to judge. I'd be like, well, if they're probably not eating as well as they're telling me they are, and
Right.
they're probably not blah, 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 until it hit me. And then I had to put my foot in my mouth
Yeah.
because menopause is very humbling,
Yeah.
very
Isn't
humbling,
it? Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, oh, like who the hell do I think I am? Right. So anyway, so it was Meta. Actually, it was Meta who taught me about it. But I don't even know what I said that would start sending this in, or maybe they're reading my mind through my phone. I have no
And if
idea.
you're having conversations and if
Maybe
you're Googling things, there's all sorts of ways. I mean, we don't know how our phones are listening to us, but certainly in a sense, it was a good thing because it meant that it sent you on a journey to find out more.
for
And
sure.
you're talking as someone who's a personal trainer, and that humbling thing, especially when you're in fitness or if you're used to understanding your body. I was a dance teacher for decades, and yeah, I didn't really put on weight, and I thought I ate healthily and all that kind of stuff. And menopause has really kind of pulled me up around. I was pre-diabetic at one point. I was started to put on weight. I had a period where I wasn't sleeping, although my sleep is A1 now. I was one thing I can do, I can sleep,
Yeah, yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. But I also love that you were honest with yourself in the sense that you were like, yes, I used to judge. And I had to hold my hands up and go, oh, that's because I didn't know. And when you know better, you do better, don't you?
1000%. I just wish that other people would do that. Like I I have a real problem with the fitness industry.
She's going there, guys. She's going there.
Like, I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I very much am a part of the diet culture. Like, I participated like 99% of them.
Yeah.
But now because menopause has become such a business and
Hmm.
a trend, it really makes me crazy when I see these women with six packs and rail thin going, you can have a body like me in menopause, where I'm like, girl, you and I both know that your body was always like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop lying. And I talk like this on social. Like I'm like, they're lying to you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because
100%.
most people don't look like that even before menopause. And now you're going to tell me once you hit menopause that I can look like you?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I've even stopped talking about weight with my clients, even though 99.9% of people come to me for it. Shit, I would love to lose 10 or 20 pounds too.
Yeah.
However, we have seen over and over and over for decades, since the beginning of time, how toxic it is, and that the message is thinner is better,
Mm.
and at any cost
Yeah.
people are giving themselves medication and giving themselves muscle paralysis or stomach paralysis. I did a webinar last
Mm.
year
Mm.
about menopause and Ozempic. right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I had a woman private message me and she said, somebody told me you're doing this webinar and I would just wanted to give you some insight.
Mm,
She's 40 years old. She
yeah.
lost 100 pounds on Ozempic, but
100
ended up
pounds.
having her
Wow.
colon removed
Oh,
and now has a colostomy bag. She's 40.
So wait, hold. Let me just get this in my head. So she used Ozempic to lose weight, lost a shit ton. Sounds like a whole human, and now had her colon removed. Wow. This
And
the
she,
thing is that this is dangerous stuff, isn't it? Because it feeds into the fear that they want us to, I'm talking about the patriarchy, by the way. Society wants women, people socialized as women, which means that we will spend more money because we're fearful of not being relevant, of not being, skinny enough, desired, all the things, scared of aging. God forbid, aging's great. Do you know what I mean? And so, and there is research. I'm going to have to find it so I can put a link around the fact that actually that eating disorders are on the rise in menopausal
for,
people. You know,
when you find that link, please send it to me
yeah,
because I'm even
I
members
read it
of, I
somewhere.
did, so I started a podcast last year
Right?
because I love talking. Now I haven't advanced it yet where I do video and all this other stuff. Like it's
Yeah,
very bare bones and that's fine.
yeah,
But I did talk about the toxicity of Facebook menopause groups
yeah.
because I'm a member of some of them and I would say 80% of the time it's how do I get rid of this weight? And the
Mm,
number of people are saying, oh, take this pill, take this
yeah.
supplement, take this. And I'm like, oh my God.
Mm, and it's such a, mm, you know, the other side to this, of course, is that if I honestly, and I will hold my hands up and say, I didn't take it properly seriously,
Hmm.
as in, doing weight training and really looking at my diet and looking at how much protein I was really getting
Hmm.
until my body started to change. And I thought, oh, okay, I need to look at this. If I can do something about this, I will. So I have no issues with people wanting to lose weight,
Of
but I
course.
have an issue around and I'm going to put advice in inverted commas, which will be anything from, like you say, take this, when actually this is about stress, this is about sleep, this is about boundaries, this is about, as well as your diet, as well as the type of exercise you do. I mean, I'm preaching to the converted, obviously. Look at me telling the fitness trainer
No,
what,
no, no.
what
But I love the fact that you know this, right? So
of
it
course.
gives me hope that people will listen and more people will understand this.
Mm,
I mean
mm,
that woman on my who told me that information, like that she ended up joining my webinar just to share her experience, and she said, even though she lost 100 pounds, she goes, I constantly got compliments about how great I looked. She goes, even though, but they don't have, no, I have a colostomy, like I lost part of my, my organ. And
yes.
and she finished it off by saying, women, ladies, let me just tell you this. There's worse things than being fat. And I was like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah, preach. Yeah. Yeah, I hear
right.
you.
Mic drop.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you talked about your body changing.
Mhm.
Is there anything else that gave you the heads up that you joined the dots? Are like, oh, this is menopause, or were you in denial for a very long time, like
No, no,
many people
I,
are?
I actually wasn't in denial, but I thought I
Okay,
could control it more than I could. Like in
okay,
the early stages, right? Because we all do, right?
yeah,
I'm just gonna work out more and I'm gonna be
yeah,
more disciplined with my food. Like again, went straight into diet culture mode,
yeah.
right? Of like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And so it took me a few years to stop that. But when I really started to get affected by the changes in perimenopause was about 3 years ago when I went, we were at our cottage and I got like, I don't know, mosquitoes love me, right? So I'm
Okay, so
always like, I leave a week of the cottage and I've got 100 mosquito bites. Okay, fine. They're itchy. After 24 hours, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had massive welts on my body. Like they were massive, like as if I had scabies. And I was like, what in the F is this?
yeah,
So I had to drive like an hour out of town, sorry, out of like to the nearest town to go to a walk-in clinic.
Mm.
And they were so itchy. And I said to him, it's like, is there any chance this could be menopause? And he said, absolutely. And I was like,
Oh,
and so when I came back, so he gave me these heavy, heavy duty antihistamines. And he said, I know it only says once every 24 hours. He goes, but take two for the
yeah.
next 48 to 72 hours to like really get, your histamine response under control. And when I came back and I spoke with my naturopath, she goes, oh, absolutely. Some people, your histamine response can go through the roof.
Yeah.
Like that for about 2 to 3 years.
Mm.
Every time, like a spider bite, you know how they say there's little mini spiders and you get spider
Mm.
bites? I would wake up with like big, like,
Yeah.
I can't even explain. It would be almost the length of my bicep
Wow.
on my arm. And it was embarrassing. And I was like, and yeah, and it was really, really, really bad. So I was living on high doses of antihistamines for like 3 years, and I don't take medication. So
Oh,
it
wow.
really bothered me. So there's that for sure. Oh, and if I could have taken a razor blade and
Oh.
scratched the inside of my ears,
Oh my gosh, same. Itchy ears are a thing.
I, girl, I was like, I would constantly be like, and sometimes I would go, and I would yell, and then like, and I just needed some relief. And then I started waking up in the mornings and my ears were clogged,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, so not are my ears itchy, now I'm going deaf. And so that was horrible for like a year and a half. And then eventually I would go to the doctor. She'd give me ear drops and it would kind of clear up, but it really didn't. And then
Yeah.
eventually she sent me to an ears, nose, and throat specialist
Yeah.
who took one look and he goes, oh, you've got eczema in your ears. I'm like, of course I do. Never had
Wow.
eczema in my life.
Yeah.
So he cleaned them out, gave me a hearing test. I've lost a little bit of my hearing already.
Oh,
That's good to
yeah.
hear. But now that's all been resolved. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
So mine has been more of a histamine response, if anything, in addition to the weight gain.
Yeah.
But I mean, touch wood, I've
Yeah.
never had a hot flash or a night sweat.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the thing that I would love people to understand, because obviously the mainstream talks about brain fog, hot flushes, night sweats, weight gain,
Yep.
and not a lot else. And what you talked about, I had exactly the same situation. I was never, I had hay fever. And then I developed an allergy to nuts when I was in my late 30s. I had an asthma attack, uh, first time ever, when I was pregnant with my second child. Um, and yeah, the whole blocked ears, constant blocked ears, and that kind of thing. And and the doctor just said, "Oh, you just have to take antihistamines." And I was like, "How long for?" And he was like, "Forever." I was
Yeah.
like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, I again, someone who didn't take medication. So, how did you? This is not the question I was going to ask, but as we're here, uh, how did you? That I'm presuming these things don't happen anymore. What have been your saviors? What have been your remedies? What do you do?
So to help with those symptoms, you mean?
Yeah,
So, well, I did have to be on heavy duty antihistamines for about 2 or 3 years.
right.
But and I had already done this a little bit in
Mm,
the past, but
mm.
now I have no dairy at all,
Okay.
at all. Um, because I'm a big believer that dairy it's highly inflammatory, and I was already
Influence.
inflammatory
Yeah.
state, so I didn't want to exacerbate it, right? So I did that. And I was doing no wheat for a while. I
Okay.
have reintroduced it now, but I have more sourdough, which is very
Yeah.
low in gluten anyways.
Yeah.
So that's better. So I would say those two things. And then I do have, like when I went to the ear, nose, and throat specialist, he did give me some ear drops. And
Yeah.
he said, oh, you could put them in every day. He goes, you can just wait till like if you become symptomatic. So I put them in like once every week, but
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, I almost feel like my experience was like that was the real roller coaster, was the real
Mm,
shit show of peri-menopause, and then I
mm,
kind of moved through that
mm,
space,
mm,
right?
mm.
Um, so now everything has kind of created a new homeostasis where things are met. Like my ears don't bother me.
Yeah.
Every once in a while they might, but then so I put a couple more drops in,
Yeah.
and my diet is super, super like good.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll talk about your diet at some point. But again, the dairy thing. I've always had I always had eczema. I had childhood eczema, and it wasn't until I moved across. I actually moved across to alternative milks because my youngest daughter had eczema. And so I
Mm,
was trying to get her, I'm laughing now because I was trying to get her to taste all these different milks and she was not having it at all. But then I
no.
ended up with liking soya milk and I had that for a few years. But then I realized that that wasn't great for me either. And
Mm,
I moved across to oat milk. And so even though I do have dairy, I drink kefir, I, do stuff for my gut health and that kind of thing on the whole. And I'm going to, if you put ice cream in front of me, I'm absolutely having it. However, when it comes
mm,
to drinking the copious amounts of milk that I used to drink, that is not a thing anymore.
right?
So
It
did
seems
you,
so
yeah,
odd because I was probably like you, raised on have a big glass of milk in the morning.
listen, I had a pint of milk and a tin of sardines and white bread in my lunch every day. And I was strong and fit and ran around, but that was just adding to my skin problems. But in those days, that was the days when we went to the doctors, they just gave you steroid cream. I mean, when I think about the drugs that I was brought up on, my goodness me,
I
you know,
know,
it's
me too.
it's it's
But your
probably,
but your mom knew something because sardines are so.
oh
I
my
mean,
god,
I
yeah,
love sardines, and they're so
yeah.
good for you.
Yeah, great. I do love. I've always got a tin of sardines or a tin of
Oh
mackerel in the house. Yeah,
gosh,
definitely. So,
love.
so you started to do your research and you pivoted your business. You were obviously talking and helping people going through menopause, but were you discussing menopause with people in your family? I don't know whether you have siblings or were you talking with your mates?
Yeah.
How were those conversations going? Were people open to those conversations, or did they think you were a bit mad?
See, so it's very interesting. So my partner at the time,
Mm,
I talked to him a lot about it, and I would send and my girls too. And because I mean, my office is in my home, and the door is often open, so they can hear me when I'm doing interviews like this, or I'm filming content, or even
yeah.
when I'm coaching my clients. And so I started following all the experts, and sending them listen to this podcast and this and this. And I remember sending one to my partner at the time, and it was Lisa Mosconi
Okay.
talking about the brain, and he was like, "Holy crap!" And I'm like, "Uh huh." So I'm not crazy, right? I'm not a bitch.
Yeah.
There's an actual physiological brain change that's happening.
Yeah.
So yes, and because I'm very loud and I'm really like my family didn't really have that much of a choice until like listen and believe me, right? So that was the family I live with. But friends at the time though, I remember this one friend I had, she'd be like, well, Samantha, you can't blame everything on menopause. And I was like, yeah, you can. Yes. Because physiologically you are different now. And I always use that analogy of like menopause is like the puppeteer and we're the puppets, right?
Yeah.
So and your hormones control everything. So when your hormones are good, we're good. But when they're off, we
Yeah.
are like all over the place. So how can you tell me it's not menopause if
Yeah.
your physiology has literally changed? And then my best friend right now, she's a good 10 years younger than me. And
Hmm.
so now she also struggles a lot with endometriosis and
Uh,
something else. And so
yeah.
when she brings things up, she goes, well, it might not be that. Like it could be my endo. So it's like, okay. But then earlier in the week, I was having a conversation with her and somebody else, and she's like, oh my God. She goes, I can't remember anything. I have to write lists and this and that. And so me and my girlfriend started laughing, and I was like, okay, Crystal, do you want to tell her?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
finally going to accept that this could be peri-menopause?
Mm,
And
mm.
she was just quiet. And I'm like, sorry, girl, I can't avoid it. It's going to come at you. It's going to get you. So just be open. And so I find it interesting because I'm very passionate about the conversation. Now, I don't try to push it on anybody, but if
Yeah.
people ask me, and I'm also very opinionated too. Um, Fair enough. And but I kind of feel like when people say, like, even my doctor,
Mm.
in the beginning stages when I was like, I'm learning a lot more about menopause. She goes, well, like she said this to me one time. She goes, I don't know if it's menopause or if it's just aging. And I was just like, so I just said, but what does every woman go through when they age?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
and then she was just like, and she stopped. Because I
Right.
was like, do you realize what a stupid comment that just was?
How did that go down?
Right? No, I didn't say that to her. This is what I'm
Oh,
thinking. And
you said
she's
that in
like,
your head.
it's not menopause, it's aging, but every woman who ages goes through menopause. So it doesn't, they're not separate.
Yeah.
Right? So I've actually had to educate my doctor a few times. I've actually had to put my foot down like so many other people where she's like, oh, I don't think so. It's like, okay, thank you very much, but I want it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Or mark it down in your chart that you're refusing my request.
Wow.
And then she usually,
Yeah. Complies because she
yeah.
wants to get you
But
out
like,
of the room.
why do I have to fight about my health? Like, I don't know. And and you know what I would love? And I know I'm going on a tangent right now.
Oh, I love a tangent. We love a tangent over here.
Great tangents all around. Um, I would love that if doctors could just do what I do. If
Mm.
you don't know, just say, you know what, I don't know, but I
Yeah.
will try my best to find someone who does know, as opposed to, well, that hasn't been proven and blah blah blah. Yeah, you know why it hasn't been proven? Because nobody's done any research on menopause, and we're doing our own research on the
Yeah.
ground. So
Yeah.
please believe us and don't, you know, devalue us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I hear you. I hear
rant.
you. And I wanted to talk to you about the menopause space. What it's blown up, which is amazing. I don't know why you're laughing.
Ah!
I don't
And
know
then,
why you're laughing. So
yes.
let's do that. Let's go there because, both of us work in the menopause space and it
Mhm,
has changed and
mhm.
is changing. And whilst a lot of that is a wonderful thing, I'm going to presume, I'm not even presuming, I know that people who are nudging and discovering, oh, this might be perimenopause, are surrounded and bombarded with information. Some of it great, some of it meh. What would you say to people who are trying to navigate that? And what are your thoughts around it all?
No, this is actually great timing because I was interviewed for an article in Chatelaine magazine. So that's a Canadian magazine here.
Okay.
And the title is The Business of Menopause.
Okay.
And yeah, like I I transitioned my business over to menopause, number one, because I'm a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I was going through menopause. And
Mm-hmm.
then because I wanted to very much also talk about the fact that I'm a Black woman talking about menopause, and I'm very vocal
Yeah.
about the fact that the menopause space is very white facing,
Yep.
just like pretty much every industry in the world. But
Mm-hmm.
it was Omi who I heard her on it. She was being interviewed on somebody else's podcast
So Omar
about,
Shardy, who runs Black Girls Guide to Surviving Menopause. Yeah.
yeah. And I heard her interviewed and I was like, Black women experience menopause different. I was like, what? And I was blown away. And so I was like, I followed her and I'm doing all these things. And so for me, it just seemed like a natural transition because I'd worked with women my entire life. Like when I started my career, it was in pre and postnatal because my babies were babies. So it just made sense that my business always evolved as my life evolved, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I can be an expert, or I do my best to be an expert in the thing that I'm actually experiencing, and then I can empathize and all that stuff. Not to say that a man can't be an expert, but at the same time, you're never going to go through menopause, you're never going to understand, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I really feel like now, with the menopause space, because we also know that they say that 2025 there's going to be 1 billion women across the world
That's
in
right.
menopause. That's a big market, right? And those
Right.
women, they have more, disposable income, blah, 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 blah. So it's a great target to, like, jump at them and also use their insecurities, hence the weight gain, right? And why we know that, like you just said,
Yeah.
eating disorders are coming back. That does not surprise me at all, not
Yeah.
one iota, because not only are their hormones changing, and they feel like they're just everything is out of control, but they're also experience a lot of mental and emotional changes because of those hormonal changes. So again, let's prey on those women who are not feeling like themselves and even
Mm.
make them feel even shittier, and then tell them that you need to do this to lose weight, right? Because you're no longer sexy because you're old and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So I really feel like the menopause space is very predatory.
Mm.
And everything now is menopause. Like, I was talking to my girlfriend and she's like, oh my God, I'm surprised there's not menopause nail polish. And then when she said that to me, so this was like in November, I remember, because shortly after that, I was watching a commercial and this brand of shampoo, Pantene, did a commercial about menopause. And I was like, are you serious? Are you now going to have like menopause shampoo? Like, what is going on? So, you know, for people who are looking for help, the thing is you're going to have to do your due diligence and understand now, you know, even though hot flashes and night sweats are probably the most common that we hear about, not all women, like from the last time I looked, only about 50% of women struggle with hot flashes and night sweats, but
Yeah.
almost all women deal with weight gain,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so the thing is you're going to have to really do your due diligence and understand that what used to work is likely like 99.9% not going to work anymore because
Yeah.
you are physiologically different,
Yeah.
right? So there's that. And, you know, all these things still apply like they did before. Like none of this is brand new, but like you said, now we have to really start paying attention because there might have been people who just had a really great metabolism. You never really had to pay attention to what you ate and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, boom, now it's like, I've gained 40 pounds and what is happening? So understand that, you know, your body is different and that I mean, you can look at credentials. At the same time, though, I feel like, you know, anybody can take courses and get all kinds of letters behind their name, but if they actually don't have years in the field and understanding and also have that lived experience, I think that also doesn't work in their favor, right? And I think it's also important too that whoever you work with, so I'm just talking more from a health and wellness, like my perspective,
Yeah, I understand.
somebody who you feel that you can identify with.
Right. So
With, you can trust them and not feel like, oh my God, is he going to make me count calories and weigh my food? And because that kind of shit, like I say to people all the time, I'm like, do you really want to do that?
Yeah. I think that's really important. I think that word trust,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that there's something about, you know, because 1 minute you can listen to one person, they're saying, do this, and another person saying, don't do this, you know, and it's the same thing. But I also think we have to be open to trying things and them not working, you know, because as we know, it's not one size fits all. And I think what you also said about that news about, you know, black women being more likely to start menopause 8.5 months earlier and up to 2 years earlier than our white counterparts, and suffer from things like vasomotor symptoms for longer, is really important for people to know. And I'm always surprised. Surprised, is that the right word? I want everybody to know that, and lots of people don't know that, especially Black people experiencing menopause. And these differences, this nuance in culture, you know, South Asian women can often start menopause up to 6 years earlier. This is important for people to understand, and then look at to care for your menopause from your own perspective, to know yourself. And that fear is huge. And don't get me wrong, excuse me while I die on air. Don't get me wrong, I also think that, you know, menopause nail polish or menopause skincare, menopause, you know, menopause in front of stuff. If that's what you want to buy, fine. If that makes you feel better within yourself, fine. But do not buy into this will change your life.
Yeah,
And be aware of, start with, how are you actually feeling? Who are you trusting? What is your diet saying? What are your friendships saying? What's your relationship saying? Is this about, are you doing this because it's out of duty, or are you doing this because you really want to? I was speaking to a friend earlier today who'd been asked to do something that I knew she didn't want to do it. And I said, you know what? Sleep on it. Because life is too, this particular person, we're in our 60s. And I said, life's too short to be doing shit you don't want to do. Like, what is the point? We've done duty. We're
yeah,
done with that.
yeah,
I'm moving on, you
yes,
know?
yes,
So you have to, it's about really going in and knowing who you are and what makes you tick, and what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for you or the next person. But trust is huge.
it is
What
huge.
advice would you, what advice would you give to someone, coming into this space as a trying to find out something, trying to find out, well, where do I start?
Yeah,
I suppose it depends on what their symptoms are or what they're most worried about.
yeah, that too. Yeah, like looking up symptoms, but also looking like it's hard because if you Google menopause expert, you're going to get pages and pages and pages, right?
Yeah.
So if you are a woman of color, maybe looking at women of color / menopause, stuff like that. Like it's a big rabbit hole to get to kind of
Yeah.
fall into, but
Yeah.
also asking if your friends are open and they're talking about it. I think
Yeah.
community is also very important at this time. Um, just because even though we know logically that every woman's going to go through menopause, it can feel so freaking isolating, right? Like I often compare it to postpartum,
Okay.
right? Like postpartum, we get a whole like shitload of roller
Mm,
coaster hormones. And even
mm.
though women are having babies every day,
Yeah.
we feel so alone at home, isolated with our baby that we're trying to keep alive, right? But with this now, with menopause, we're at home alone, trying to keep ourselves alive and not like
Yeah.
jump in front of our car because every day it looks different and what is going on. And I feel like once you can start getting some information, like I was
Yeah.
talking to a client yesterday who finally realized that it was her HRT that are
Yeah.
causing some anxiety.
Right.
Because she just started. So I was like, kind of give it some time because for some
Mhm.
people, it takes up to 3 months before you kind of create your homeostasis or find out your new balance. But she said once she realized it was her HRT, then it calmed herself down because she didn't feel like she was quote unquote going crazy.
Right.
Because she's like, why am I having these big, huge, anxiety spikes and then plunging down to a deep depression? And so I think it's also helpful that when we find out what's happening, it gives ourselves peace of mind. It doesn't fix it, but in our
Yes.
brain now we can understand it better. So,
Yeah.
and also I think it is really important finding people who look like you that you feel represented, and
Mm.
that um, I've been saying this for a few years now to my clients. I said if you look at any Instagram account and
Mm.
you feel bad about yourself,
Yeah.
that's an instant unfollow.
Yeah.
Instant.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Because yeah, because again, yeah, like I'm too old now to be told that I'm not this and that and I should do this. It's like, you know what you should do? You should just keep your mouth shut because for
Yeah.
me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I feel feels good. And I think it's also what you said earlier too, is women at this point, at some point, we have to start actually listening to our gut. Listen
Thank
to your intuition.
Yeah.
Okay. If it doesn't feel good, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
because it's the wrong thing, but because we've been brainwashed for so long that we've got to kill ourselves as to be hard and we have to like, you know, sweat blood and tears and all of
Mm.
this other stuff
Mm.
that, it's we figure if it's not hard and we're not killing ourselves, then it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And again, I'm talking more around diet culture. Like
Mm.
there's so much negativity around food. Like people aren't even enjoying food anymore. It's like, oh, I can't eat that because that's this. It's like, but it's good. It is
It
good for
tastes
you.
good. Life's too short to not. I hear that. I hear that. Um, yeah, yeah. There's a lot on food. I'm just going to say that if listeners, you are enjoying this conversation, please do us a huge favor and hit subscribe. Because then the algorithms will allow this episode and all the episodes before it to reach the ears that really need to hear it, because these conversations are so important. I didn't warn Sam I was going to say that. So she's kind of looking at me like, what? It is what it is. And going back to social media and Instagram and making you feel like shit. That's hard. That's actually hard. I mean, I've been known to throw my phone onto a soft landing across the room because I could feel my good mood being sucked out of me, because not just about diet, for example, or the way I look, but it might be about, oh, those people are doing that, or that person got a book deal, or blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. So and that's how social media works. So please do not be, if social media makes you feel like shit, first of all, yes, you can unfollow a load of people and follow people who make you feel good, but also
Yeah.
that's it working, because social media is a marketing tool, and it was designed to keep you on your phone so you will buy stuff, So please don't add beating yourself up about feeling bad or being on social media all the time, because trust me, it's doing its job,
Yeah.
honestly.
And it
Um,
happens to all of us. Full disclosure, I was sitting on my couch last night and I clicked buy. I bought this thing and I was like, wow, why did I read the reviews? I did. And right after I saw the reviews are like, this is a big scam. And I'm like, oh my
yeah,
God.
and
I got
I have done that. I have this thing about I really like expensive trainers, and so what I'm trying to do is I see a brand I like, and then I get, do you have Vinted? Is Vinted international? I don't know. So
probably
Vinted is like
something
a
similar to it.
second-hand clothes selling app.
Yeah.
So now I've managed to train myself that if I see the thing that I want that's going to cost me, 150, 200 quid, I will then go onto the secondhand app and look and see if I can find it. And honestly, most of the time, by the time I've done that, if I find it, great. I don't necessarily still want it, but also if I don't find it, the time it takes me to do that, I've kind of like, the moment's gone, the moment's
Yeah.
passed. But Instagram ads are very insidious. And then, of course, if you click on that, if you then go on Facebook, you'll get the same ad.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course. Of course.
So, yeah. So, my dear, you have
Yes.
told me about a little bit about, cutting out milk has been a big thing for you, as did I. And choosing sourdough bread, which tastes great, good sourdough tastes amazing, which is better for your gut, that kind of thing. What else have you done? What are your non-negotiables around your own menopause care, whether it's diet or exercise?
Absolutely. It's hitting the gym 3 to 4 days a week.
Yeah.
That's like absolutely
To do
non-negotiable.
what? Wander around aimlessly? I don't know. That's what I do.
Lift and I lift heavy shit.
Yeah.
So I joined my first gym when I was 18.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'd moved out. I found this local gym. It's like, that sounds so funny because I barely had enough money to buy food, but I had enough money for a gym membership. Um, and I remember also feeling very, very insecure. And the reason why I joined the gym was like probably most people at that time was just so I could eat whatever I wanted.
Yeah,
And
same.
so I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? If I can eat whatever, I'm just sure I'll exercise so I can eat whatever I wanted. And then I met my husband when I was 25, and he's the one who turned me on to lifting heavy.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, I'm really liking this.
Mm.
So I've always, during my career, like I said to you before, I started my career in pre and postnatal. And my goal was to help women still stay strong during pregnancy. So I was telling pregnant women to work out when everybody else was telling them, don't
Yeah.
work out and don't lift heavy. And And to me, I was like, that doesn't make any sense, because if
Yeah,
they have
pregnancy isn't
older
an
children that
illness.
they're picking up when they're pregnant, they can lift heavier than 5 pounds. Anyways, so I've been doing that for a long time, and I'm just loving now that in the menopause space, they're finally saying lift heavy. Thank the Lord Jesus. And I'm like, why did it take to be in like our 50s for people to finally get
Yeah.
that wake up call, right? Because it was always, well, if I lift heavy, I'm going to get
I'm
bulky. And
going
I'm
to look like a man.
no, no, no. Like, it's so hard, right? And especially in menopause now, where menopause is literally stealing
Mm.
your muscle, like Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Um, it's really, really important. And so, what I was saying earlier, and I said this to a couple of clients who recently even said to me this week, they're like, I'm feeling really frustrated because I'm doing all the things and they're not seeing the result, which means weight loss,
Yeah.
right? So they're lifting heavy consistently, their food is really, really good, and their sleep is good. And I said to them, I was like, so are you going to stop exercising? Like, no. Are you going to stop eating vegetables? No. Okay. So at what point do we stop and say, I'm going to stop obsessing over my weight and focus on the things that I can control? Because I really do believe that if the weight is meant to come off, it will.
And also focusing on being grateful for the fact that your body can move and that you can do that stuff. I think with me, I started to take weight training a bit more seriously. And it was, triggered by the fact that I was putting on weight, particularly around my middle. But the other side to that is I've had to, because I don't like it yet. It ain't fun, but I'm
And you can
learning. I am seeing gains. I am feeling a little bit better about it, and the mindset is, oh well, I get to do this. Like, I'm 62 years old and I can do this, and I think, and the same for when I go running or whatever. It's about gratitude can be a game changer in terms of your health, and then the kind of the way your body looks becomes a byproduct, or doesn't, because you're happy anyway.
And honestly, the best way, and I've always said this all throughout my career, is like the best way to change the shape of your body is strength training.
Mm,
Whereas weight loss, you just keep the same shape and then you just shrink,
mm, mm,
right?
mm, mm.
So if you're like, what they say, like an apple shape, you're just gonna be a smaller apple. That's not gonna be helpful. But if you want to get more of an hourglass, then you can trick yourself into looking like you've lost weight by building your shoulders. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
So, but and I said to this one client yesterday, I was like, here's what's so awesome about you strength training.
Mm.
That when you slip and fall, you're not going to break a hip.
Right. Yeah.
And when you don't break a hip, then you're not going to increase your chances of dying in the next year. So look at it that way.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally saving your life by hitting the gym, regardless of what your weight is.
Mm.
And so that's my big message to my clients all the time when they get into, and I validate that. Like, yes, I know it's frustrating that you're not losing weight right now, but that's just now, right?
Yeah.
Like, we get again so caught up in like it's never going to happen. Well,
Yeah.
it's never going to happen if that's always what you focus on, because we
Yeah.
also know that what you focus on grows, right? So if you keep
Yeah.
focusing on I'm not losing weight, I'm not losing weight, I'm not losing weight, you're not going to lose weight.
Yeah.
So instead, why don't you focus on I'm building muscle, I'm going to
Mm.
sleep really well.
Mm.
You might have to go up a pant size or two, but when it's amazing too, when you start putting clothes on that actually fit you, you
Yeah.
look like you lost weight because
Yeah.
you're not squeezing yourself in something smaller,
Mm.
and you build your confidence. So it just becomes like this domino effect of feeling better about yourself. Because at the end of the day, when people say to me, I want to lose weight, I'm like, why do you want to lose weight? Like,
Yeah.
tell me why. And they'll be like, well, because I want to feel better. I want to feel sexier. I want to
Yeah.
whatever. And I was like, you can have all of those and the
Yeah.
scale doesn't move.
100%. And I think that fitness and function situation is what I want to be able to focus on. Like, I lift weights, or I run, or I stretch, because I want to be, I don't want, first of all, I don't want to rely on anybody to do things. I want to lessen my chance of falling over and breaking something. There's a wonderful person, I don't know whether you follow her, on Instagram, called Essie. Essie Loves Fitness. And she posted something, I think today, which is a brilliant reel. I'll send it to you and I'll link it in the show notes, about why she picks up weights. And what it does is very cleverly spliced together reel where she does a weight and then she's, doing up her shoelace, and she walks with some weights and she's carrying shot. It's very clever,
Yes, yes.
and that is what we need to be focusing on. I want to be the healthiest, fittest 85-year-old, 90-year-old because I want to be able to travel, and I want to be able to, run around with my grandson or whatever. So I think
Mhm.
functional fitness, as opposed to looking a certain way and fitting into a certain um, outfit, which is also great,
Yeah,
is definitely the way forward. And I love how you explain that. So thank you for that.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
How do you celebrate yourself, Samantha Montpetit-Huynh?
Oh, how do I celebrate myself?
Face. Okay, different question. How will you celebrate yourself once we finish this episode? Because it needs to be done.
Well, you want to know something?
Yes, I do.
So as you know, I just came back from Costa Rica, and the first time I went there 2 years ago,
Mm.
one of the activities that the retreat leader brought was a sacral dance.
Okay.
And it was all about the sacral chakra, which is right around your pelvis, which is that's all about, well, that's not all about, but it's very sexual.
Yeah.
And I came back and my libido went through the roof. I had my husband flat on his back multiple times a day for like the next you don't understand. You don't understand. And he was like, "What's happened to you?" I was like, "I don't know." Anyways, but that also renewed my love for dancing. So
Right.
before I got married and had kids, I used to always go to the clubs and this and that. So I started doing that, and I still do it, and I really, really enjoy it. Like,
Right.
to me, like, that was the first thing I thought of is maybe it's not, but maybe that's the way I kind of celebrate the end of the week. Usually I go out maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah.
I'm going dancing actually 2 times this weekend, and I'm going to Mary J. Blige concert on Monday,
Oh
which is,
my goodness me. I
yeah,
am very, very envious.
yeah, yeah. So you know what? There's 20 of us, and we've got a box, and we're all getting matching T-shirts. And I said nothing says middle-aged women than a bunch of women with middle age with matching T-shirts at a concert.
You know what? That is my
Right?
pet hate. I'm really sorry. That's anybody telling me what to wear or what colour to wear. I'm going to a 60th birthday party next month. And she's a good friend of mine, and we have to wear a certain colour. Unfortunately, I literally just bought a vintage dress, which happens to be that colour. And
Oh,
I said to her daughter's organising it, and I said to her daughter, it's only because of my immense love for you as a family that I will do as I'm told. But me, nah, man, me not do that.
yeah.
But I get it. It's a very American thing, isn't it? Is it,
It
or have I
is.
got that
It
wrong?
is. And it's Mary J. Blige, so everybody who's going is probably going to be blinged from head to toe,
Right.
and
Okay. Okay.
so it's
All
just
right.
going to be a
But yeah.
bling fest. But I would say, yeah, like me going out dancing is a way that I celebrate because I love the fact that I can still dance.
Yeah.
I love dancing. I have energy to do it.
Yeah.
I might move a little bit slower the next morning, but that's
I really hope that if all goes according to plan, we are able to dance together at some point this year.
yes,
So,
yes, it
yeah,
will.
hopefully I'll be sharing more about that at a later date. So, what are your favourite tunes? Which tune instantly makes you want to dance? I have a Spotify Menopause Whilst Black season 8 playlist, and I would love to put your choice in there.
Oh, God, I have to choose one.
Yes, you do. I might give you two.
Oh, you know what? I think it's a house song, house music, by
Cheers.
Tears by oh, wait 1 second. Let me look it up on my phone right here.
Okay.
Let me look it up because I really love 90s house music and rare groove.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm a big fan of house music.
Yeah, okay, so wait, let me just look it up here. Tears.
Okay.
Um as soon as I say the name, you'll be like, Frankie Knuckles.
Do you know what? I want to say I was going to say that, But
Yeah.
obviously that's going to sound silly now because
Yeah.
it's going
Right.
to sound like
That,
I just made that up. But I was.
yeah. That and Set It Off.
Okay.
You know Set It Off?
I do, but I don't remember who it's by.
Oh
Oh, I
wait,
do. Oh my God, yes. Okay. Um, Tears,
it's
Frankie Knuckles.
Strafe, Strafe.
Straft. Okay, I'm going to look those up. Set It Off.
Yeah.
I'll put them both in. Thank you for that. Okay, my love.
Here, I want you to share
One.
that. I want you to share that playlist with me.
I will share that playlist with you. There are several playlists on Spotify, and they're all different seasons. But I did the first 5 seasons before we went on YouTube. I put them all in one, so it's about 4 hours long. Whereas now, no, the other ones are just for each particular season. So yes, I
Oh,
will.
okay.
A piece of advice, my love. What's the one piece of advice you would give to anyone? I want to say any black woman, but that's up to you. Listening to us right now.
Oh man. Piece of advice. Do what feels good.
Oh,
Yeah, I know that sounds really open, but it is. I'm oversimplifying it because I feel like we as a society have overcomplicated everything. And
hmm,
now we're afraid, like I said earlier, to make things easy. Everything has to be hard. We have to be struggling. If it's not, like someone said to me yesterday, no pain, no gain. And I was like,
hmm,
absolutely not. I was like, I'm
yeah,
cutting that out right now. Um, do what makes you feel good. Because at the end of the day, isn't that why you're doing all the things that you want to do, that you're killing yourself
yeah,
over? You can feel good.
yeah.
So then why don't you do the things that make you feel good?
Great. I love that. Yes, fantastic. Thank you for that. Now,
Yeah.
this episode will probably come out at some point in May, end of April, May. What have you got coming up for us that people might be interested in?
Oh, okay. Well, in May, I don't have anything in May. Well, April, if it does come in April,
Yeah.
we are launching our next cohort of our group accelerator coaching program for perimenopausal women. That's a 12-week program, and we're
Okay.
launching mid-April.
Okay.
But if not, in
And you have
June,
a retreat, don't you, as well?
pardon me. Well,
Your
we are
retreat.
doing another retreat in Barbados in November.
Okay.
So I'm excited about that. But in June
Yeah.
7th and 8th, I have another event company called High Heels and Hot Flashes.
Okay.
And that whole event is around amplifying the voices of women of color when it comes to menopause. And we are going to have a big branded aisle here in Toronto at the Women's Healthy Living Show, June 7th and 8th. So that's a big thing. And we're also going to be doing a screening of the M Factor film as well.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
where can people find you?
They can find me everywhere on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Samcore Trainer. That's it.
Easy peasy. Easy
Yeah,
peasy. Oh, I have loved our conversation, as I knew I would. Thank you so much for joining me, Sam.
my pleasure.
I will put all of the stuff that you mentioned in the show notes. And yeah, people reach out to our no nonsense Sam Core trainer. Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you very, very much for having me. It's been great, and you're so much fun.
Oh, Sam. Sam had me laughing. I won't lie. It was a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Um, I was blown away by the stuff about the histamine, about her allergies. And I am on record as saying before that, I have had allergies that started in my late 30s and my mid 30s, that beforehand, I had nothing. When I was younger, I had childhood eczema. And as I got older, I got a handle on that. And one of those things was actually cutting out dairy. Whilst I eat cheese and I eat yogurt, I I don't drink. I used to drink a lot of milk, as I said on this episode. So to develop asthma in my 30s and then to have an anaphylactic shock where I found out that I was allergic to most nuts was a madness. And it's not until now, years later, talking to people about their own allergies that have developed during perimenopause, I realised that that is possibly what happened to me. So I'm glad that Sam was able to get a handle on that. And I'm glad that she's able to move forward. I will put all the information about where to find Sam in the show notes. She does a lot of stuff over in that there Canada. And it would be great to, I hope that someday to meet her in person and give her a big hug, because following her on Instagram has been an absolute joy. She knows a lot of stuff. That's me. If you love this episode, please share it everywhere. Talk about menopause whilst black. Talk about menopause full stop. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things, and so that we can get to the people who really need to hear us. I know I've been banging on about menopause for a very long time now, or it seems like a long time, and certainly the last 5 years with the podcast. But there are so many people coming into the space who are still bewildered and still don't know what's happening to them. And those are the people we're trying to reach, and you can help. That's it. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, evening, weekend, week, month. And I will speak with you soon. All right. Take care. Bye.